I'm in the woods today by the river. And there's no mines, there's no caves, but there is something underground. Come and join me. It's a beautiful river. It's all sand. All sand. Is that weed? I don't know. But anyway, there's something really, really special here. So in the ground, there's a door, as you have it. And let's go inside. Well, let's go in. So I know what you're thinking, but it's not actually a mine. It's something quite sad. So there's a history to this place. And I don't have a proper torch, so I'm just using another phone, which we'll have to do. But essentially, it's a bunker. After the Second World War, I'm in Lithuania. So after the Second World War in Lithuania, there was a resistance movement. And essentially, the resistance fighters, they would dig these. So that was in 1947. That they dug this. So 2 years after the First World War finished, Russians took over Lithuania, and the Lithuanian resistance fighters were fighting back. So what they did, they would dig these bunkers to base themselves in the woods, deep in the woods, and they would sleep here. So essentially what you're finding here, so as you come in, there's a really narrow door. Obviously you saw it, it's all closed. They would dig this to hide and fight, hide and, you know, obviously sleep at night while they were fighting and trying to attack the Russians. And they would live here. But you can imagine, you know, there's some ventilation here. There's a pipe going to outside. A lot of this has been rebuilt because you can imagine, you know, in over 50 years, in 70 years, the wood would rot. But they did find the original timbers. So they try to recreate as much as possible. So, you know, you can imagine in a cold place, I mean, you know, most of the resistance would have taken in summer, because in winter this would be even grimmer. But even here now, it's a really hot day and it's quite sort of damp, and you see there's fungus growing on here. So you can imagine there would be fungus spores, mold. There's like a little makeshift table that they've made. But it's hardly, you know, it's hardly enough to be comfortable. Really basic. People would have kept some food here, maybe some bread, cheese, maybe some butter if they're lucky, whatever the villagers would provide. So it was really, really grim, but that's how desperate people were to fight back against the Russians. So the story goes that this place was dug overnight. So four men dug this out overnight. There were people standing by the river further away watching if there were any Russians coming, and they managed to dig this overnight, bring all the pre-prepared timbers and install them essentially on the day. And one of the reasons why they built it by the river is because all the sand that they took out of this pit, essentially of this underground place, they dumped it in the river, and that way it wouldn't be so obvious that, you know, that there's been digging happening. And the reason why they were able to do it overnight is because it's sand, is because this part of it's the very south of Lithuania, and all the, you know, you'll see beautiful woods, but actually underfoot it's just white sand. It used to be a beach back in, you know, ice ages. So here there's no rocks. It's not like in Wales where, you know, I normally run around. It's soft sand. So digging is dead easy here, other than tree roots. It's obviously still a big task. And when I say that it's just sand under the forest floor, that's what I mean by it. It literally is just sand. So you can see tree roots, a tiny bit of soil, and then it's just white sand, just like that. It's quite yellow here, so in other places it's sort of a bit whiter. So I don't know if it's still possible to see where they would have dumped the sand. The river obviously would have taken it. Well, yeah, it's been like 60 70 years. But you can see the woods. It's quite dense around here. But otherwise, as you dig, it's just sand. It really is just sand and moss. And it would be snowy in winter. But I don't think they fought in winter. I think they lived here for 2 years. Well, or thereabouts, because they died. The 3 people that were mainly living here, the 3 people died 2 years later. As they were fighting, only one guy survived to tell the tale. And there, these are the woods. And that's the ventilation. And these are the people who lived in the bunker. So these are the 3 guys who died 2 years later. And this is the guy who survived to tell the tale. But as you can see, they all died 1949. So that's 2 years later after the bunker had been dug. And this is people sort of reopening it, rebuilding it. And there was a little celebration. There's the beautiful river. The only way to cross it is through this plank. This was more than a plank, it's a tree. But that shows the setting a bit better. It's a fairly sizable stream. This, you know, is a proper river. This one, especially for these places. And now it's the time to go and find some mushrooms. Whoops. So that's the underground bunker in Lithuania. Well, thanks for joining me. Ta-da!